Hello, my most amazing artists. I hope you had a great few days off last week, but this week it's time to get back into our project. And we started this project 2 weeks ago when we learned all about tints and shades, and we just painted a piece of paper of monochromatic painting, meaning we only used one color. We added white to create tints, and we added black to create shades. Okay, so you should have that ready to go because we will need it today. If you didn't have a painting and you just did a coloring, then that is totally fine. You will also need that, okay? So jumping right back into this project, your goal for this week is to learn about op art so that you can arrange your painting to create an image that tricks the eye, okay? So last time we worked on this project, we learned it was called op art weaving, okay? It's not called tints and shades painting. That was just the first step to get us where we need to be today, all right? So let's learn about op art. All right, so what is op art? Op art is short for optical art. All right, that's art that features optical illusions. Okay, if you've ever seen an optical illusion before, then you will know exactly what I mean when I say that optical illusions trick the human eye to believe something that isn't true. It might trick you to think the color red is actually green, or it might trick you and think that a picture is moving when it's really not, it's just a picture. So how do artists create optical illusions? Well, we will find out in just a moment. But first, I would love if you guys watch this video here, learning about op art. It goes over a few awesome op artists during the time. By the way, op art started in the 1960s. So over here, you'll learn about some artists that worked in optical illusions, and their artwork is super cool. And also, it's kind of important to understand the science behind optical illusions. Like, why does a picture look like it's moving when it's really standing still? So that has a lot to do with our eyes and what it perceives, and the neurons and stuff connected to our brain and telling us what we're seeing is not real. So it's really cool. I really love op art, so I definitely recommend watching these two videos. And here is a very great example of an optical illusion. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little bit dizzy staring at this. And if you feel like you're getting a bit dizzy as well, I would look away. Don't stare for too long if you know that this kind of stuff makes you queasy, okay? So this is an awesome optical illusion because of the way the artist placed the shadows and the highlights on these little blue circles against the green background. It, for some reason, makes our eyes look like it's moving. Wherever I look, it looks like there's a bump, like moving underneath it. Like there's like, the best example that I can think of is my cat underneath a blanket, like just moving around under the blanket. So that's what I see. And that's really cool how artists can do that by just using the elements of art. It's so cool. And if you want to know why this painting is tricking our eyes so badly right now, then you definitely need to go watch this, okay? It will tell you exactly what you need to know. All right, so let's look at one more. This one's pretty cool. Actually, I have two more. Just kidding. So this one is really cool because it looks like the ball is kind of going around in a circle. It's so weird. Like, optical illusions are so strange to me. I think they're so interesting. But there's one. And these are a little bit different than your everyday optical illusions. So this is by an artist called M.C. Escher, which if you watch the video learning about op art, then you'll learn a little bit about him. And he used optical illusions like in realistic pictures. So it's pretty cool. I don't know, you may have seen this picture before of all these different stairs going in different directions. Some people going down, some people going up. This guy looks like he's climbing a wall right here. So that's how M.C. Escher used optical illusions to make a picture look like the impossible is happening, right? It makes you think that this guy is walking up the wall when that's not really true, okay? And same for over here. He got a lot of his inspiration from architecture, and so he created this, and it looks like a part of the building is like bulging out. It makes it look really interesting and different. And this is really cool because he was pretty ahead of the times. This kind of looks like something a modern artist might create. But if you want to learn more about M.C. Escher, then go watch this video right here. She talks a lot about him. Okay? So now let's get on to us. Oh, and this is just for fun. If you want to watch 10 drawn optical illusions, these are actually things that you can try at home if you want to make your own optical illusions. Okay? And I just realized I put 10 drawn optical illusions, and it clearly says 16 optical illusions. So excuse me for that mistake. Alrighty, so how do artists create these optical illusions? Just using paper and pencil. Some of them literally just use paper and pencil. Well, my friends, they use the elements of art, okay? The elements of art are the base of every single artwork, okay? You cannot have an artwork without at least one element of art, okay? So, op artists use lines, shapes, even color sometimes, value, and forms to create movement in their artwork, okay? Now, last time, the first step of our project, we used value, okay, using shading and tints to create our painting. So we got that down. We got our value. All right, and we are going to be doing a weaving, and that's where our lines and our shapes are going to come in. And we're also going to use a little bit of that today. All right, so we are going to make the part that actually tricks the eye today, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. But our goal is to show some movement in our artwork, okay? So movement is actually a principle of design. Remember, principle of design are how the elements of art are organized in an artwork. So we are going to organize lines and shapes and value to create movement, okay? Movement, movement, movement. So let's go ahead and get started. Oops, that was a video from last week. Here we are. Okay, so let's first go over exactly what you will need. All right, got a lot of things going on here. Let's start with this painting. You will need your painting that you did. If you didn't do a painting, if you did a coloring, you will need that as well. You just need a piece of paper that's colored with tints and shades. Okay, tints, you add white, shades, you add black. All right, and this, my friends, is a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of paper, and you are going to need another 12-inch by 12-inch piece of paper, or whatever size you did your painting on, okay? Yours might be 8.5 by 11. You'll just need another 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Yours might be 7 by 9. All right, if yours is 7 by 9, how big should your second piece of paper be? 7 by 9, okay? So we just need our painting and a piece of paper that is the same size as our painting, okay? So you'll need that. You'll need some scissors, and I'm going to use glue today, and of course I'm going to use my little glue cup and my glue brush. That's just the easiest and less messy way to apply glue when collaging an artwork. But if you don't have that set up, then you of course can use a glue stick, or you can use the glue bottle. If you don't have any glue at all, then you can just use tape. All right, find something at your house that you can use. So remember, our goal this week is that you're going to learn about op art. Check, we just did that, so that you can arrange your painting to create an image that tricks the eye, okay? So how are we gonna do this? Well, we're gonna have to cut our painting up, all right? That's a given. We're gonna have to cut this into 4 pieces, but that's okay, all right? That's part of the experience, all right? Don't get too attached to any part of your artwork, because you never know what you might need to do next, okay? So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm gonna flip it over because it's just easier to do it with the back side facing up, and I'm going to fold it in half, okay? This is gonna be a guide for where we are going to cut, all right? And we want it to be exact, okay? Just like that. So I just folded it in half. I'm gonna open it up again, and I'm gonna fold it in half the other way. All right, so I folded it in half that way. Now I will fold it in half the opposite way. Just like this. Don't want to press down too hard because we did use tempera paint, and sometimes that might want to flake away. Okay, so be careful with that. So now I have folded my painting into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Okay, and this might be the hard part for some of us, because I know that it is a little bit difficult to just kind of cut into something that you worked really hard in, but that just makes me even more motivated to take my time while I'm cutting, because I know I worked really hard on this painting and it took me forever, so I really don't want to mess it up. But I'm just cutting all the way through that folded line that I made, cutting away from myself, remembering scissor safety. So now I have 2 pieces, okay? And like I said, we will need 4 equal pieces. So where I folded the second time, you might not be able to see it that well, but it's folded right there a second time. And I am just going to cut on that folded line as fast as I can, remembering to take my time so that I don't accidentally mess it up. All right, now I got 2 pieces. Now I gotta do the same to the other side. All right, so this is what my painting used to look like. It's all cut up into 4 pieces now, but that's okay. What I'm gonna do is I want where my shaded parts are, I need those to be in the middle, okay? Because we're gonna try to make it look like a diamond, okay? Right now it just looks like a straight diagonal line going that way, and the way I'm gonna do that is I need these darker parts to be right in the middle. So I'm just going to flip it around, and I'm gonna put my darker corner in the middle. All right, here's my darker corner right here. It's darker than that one, so I'm gonna flip it to where it is inside, or right in the middle there. Okay, these 2 corners are pretty light, but I noticed this one's a little bit darker, so I'm going to flip that towards the center. All right, and last but not least, this corner is way darker than that corner. So I'm going to put all the dark corners right into the center. And look how cool that looks already. It looks super awesome. And now, you may have guessed it already, now that we have all the darker corners right in the center, we are going to glue. Okay, that's why we needed a piece of paper that's the same size as our painting, because we need a base to glue it back onto. Okay, so to do that, I am going to set my pieces off to the side, and I'm just going to do one piece at a time. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to use a little glue cup and a glue brush. I'm just going to get a little bit. If you get too much, then you can wipe it right on the lip there. Did you see that? If you get too much glue, just wipe it on the lip and it'll drip back down into the bowl. We don't need big globs of glue. Okay, remember I grade you on how neat you're being. So let's just try our best to be as neat as possible. And if we use too much glue, then it will be kind of hard to be neat because all the glue is going to be squishing out the side of what I'm trying to glue. Okay, so take your time. I am just painting it around the edges. Okay, not too much because I don't want glue to squish out the side. Okay, I'm just painting my glue around the edges. All right, if you use too little glue, then of course your square will not stick. Okay, so just find that nice balance of not too little glue and not too much glue. Okay, and like I said, I need to go a little bit fast so that this glue that I started with does not start to dry before I'm done. I'm holding it in the center so it doesn't move. And since we're putting glue all the way around the edges, we do not need to even put any glue in the middle. Okay, if the edges are all glued down, then whatever you're trying to glue will stay. Okay, so now I'm going to take my square, and remember, the darker corner needs to go in the center. Okay, so I'm being very careful, and I'm going to line up this. Oh, it's kind of hard now that there's glue on it. I'm going to line up this edge with this edge of my paper, and I'm going to line up the bottom edge with the bottom edge of my second piece of paper as best as I can. Okay, it might not be perfect, all right, but it will still do the job. Okay, and I'm being very careful, just pressing down my corners to make sure all those corners are nice and neat. If you get any glue on your hand, like what I just did right there, I just rubbed it away. It dries it so you don't get glue on your painting like I accidentally did a little bit. Okay, so let's go over that one more time. So I'll do this one next. Remember, the darker corner goes in the center, so that one's going to go right there. And when we're gluing, we need to not get too much glue, not too little glue, because then it won't stick. If you get too much, it'll swoosh out the side, and your off art will be a little bit messy. And I grade on how neat you are while you're working. Okay, so I'm just going around the edges with my glue. And like I said earlier, you don't even need to put glue in the middle. Okay, do not put glue in the middle because that'll be a waste of glue and you don't really need it. All right, all you need is glue right on the center. I'm sorry, not on the center. All you need is glue right on the edges. Okay, if there's glue all the way around the edges, then your square will stick. All right, make sure, my friends, that you rotate your darker corner towards the center. Okay, this is my darker corner, and I'm going to do my best to line it up with the bottom of the piece I already glued and the other edges of my paper. All right, I don't want them to overlap. That means I don't want to glue my squares on top of one another, literally just right next to each other. Okay, just like that. And I am just pressing carefully down to make sure all of my edges are glued down. And if you're ever worried if it's stuck all the way, you can always do what I like to call the wiggle test, which is flip your paper over, wiggle it a little bit, and if none of the edges come up, then it's good to go, all right? But I have a little edge coming up, so I'm just going to take a little dot of glue, pull up the edge a little bit, and press it back down. Okay, that'll ensure that all your edges stick down. Okay, so I'm going to do this for my other half of my paper, and I'll be right back to show you what it should look like when you're done. All right, I just finished gluing my last piece, and I'm going to flip my paper over and just wiggle it carefully. And I noticed none of my edges really came up, so I'm good to go. All right, now if you notice, your squares might not perfectly fit together, but that's okay, guys, because we are going to be creating a weaving. So any of those little mistakes will not really be seen that much, okay? And I do have a little bit of extra paper here on the side, but I'm not too worried about it, okay? So I guess my other piece of paper that I used to glue on was a teeny tiny little bit bigger than my painting, because I still have a little edge over here, but that's totally fine, okay? And I almost forgot, all right, on that new piece of paper that you guys got today, we always need to write our name, okay? Write your name and your class code if you're in my face-to-face classes, okay? Always, when you get a new piece of paper, we need to write our name. All right, so after you get done cutting your squares and arranging them to where the darker corners are right in the center, and you glue them down in that order, then you're good to go. And as you can see, it already looks really cool and different than where our painting began. So it's already starting to trick our eye a little bit to want to look right in the center. Okay, that's our whole goal, is to create movement to where our eyes want to go straight to the center of our picture. All right, I hope you guys had a lot of fun learning all about op art. I definitely recommend going and watching those videos that I posted on our presentation. And yeah, so this needs to dry 100%. If you used a wet glue, even if you used a glue stick, it needs to dry. Make sure you put this in a safe place because we will need it again next week. All right, guys, I hope you had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what you create. All right, guys, have a great week. I will see you next time. Bye.